Evidences accumulating in the material and social worlds and in the horizons jointly point to a hidden immaterial order. 25. It is important to note that Islamic scholarship does not adhere to the view that science is the only method to discover truths about man, life, and the universe. In fact, Islamic scholarship views science as a useful method of study which has a limited scope and should not be solely relied upon when assessing the truth of our existence. This philosophical position is based on various arguments. For example, science, or more specifically scientism, which is the view that we should believe only what can be proven scientifically, is self-defeating. Scientism claims that a proposition is not true if it cannot be scientifically proven. However, the above claim itself cannot be scientifically proven. Therefore, according to this claim, the claim itself is not true. Hence, scientism is self-defeating. Scientism cannot prove necessary truths like mathematics and logic. For example, if P implies Q and P, then Q and 3 plus 3 = 6 are necessary truths and not merely empirical generalizations. In fact, scientism requires these necessary truths, but it cannot prove them, and any attempt to do so would be tantamount to arguing in a circle. Scientism has a limited scope as it cannot provide a basis for moral truths. For instance, biology or evolution cannot provide rational explanations for the meaningfulness of good and bad. This is because evolution implies that we are just byproducts of a lengthy biological process. Our morals have developed like our ears or teeth. Since evolutionary changes are inventable, moral truths will also change. From this perspective, morality has no meaning. As the philosopher of science Michael Roos aptly states, the position of the modern evolutionist is that humans have an awareness of morality, because such an awareness is of biological worth. Morality is a biological adaptation no less than our hands and feet and teeth, considered as a rationally justifiable set of claims about an objective something. Ethics is illusory. I appreciate that when somebody says love thy neighbor as thyself, they think they are referring above and beyond. Nevertheless, such reference is truly without foundation. Morality is just an aid to survival and reproduction, nang shulo, and any deeper meaning is illusory. 26. In considering the above discussion, the Islamic creedal position maintains that the Quran does not negate established realities or facts, and there is a scholarly consensus that its statements pertaining to the natural world are not confined to a 7th century understanding of nature. This is explained by the scholar Mohar Ali in his book The Quran and the Orientalists. Far from reproducing or reflecting the erroneous worldview prevailing in the 7th century Arabia, the Quran indeed goes far beyond the scientific knowledge of the time and speaks of scientific facts and truths that have only recently been discovered by man. 27. To conclude this section, the fact that a 7th century document contains statements rejecting the established scientific assertions of its time and complying with what is considered as established reality makes evident the nature of the Quran as a signpost to the transcendent. This encourages contemplation and facilitates the arrival at the conclusion that God is one and the Quranic discourse is divine. This paper will take one of these signs found in chapter 23, verses 12 to 14, and provide a linguistic breakdown correlating each key word with modern embryology. The Quran provides a concise and eloquent account of the developing human embryo. We created man from an essence of clay, then we placed him as a drop of fluid in a safe place. Then we made that drop of fluid into a clinging form, and then we made that form into a lump of flesh, and we made that lump into bones, and we clothed those bones with flesh. And later we made him into other forms. Glory be to God, the best of creators. 28. Essence/extract of clay. We created man from an essence, halahama clay. This verse mentions that the first stage of the development of the human being is that man is formed from a sula Allah of clay. The word sula Allah means an extract. 29. something drawn out 30 or the most subtle, purest, and essential constituent. 31. The classical exegetes of the Qur'an understood the words Sula alatin min tinwan essence of to specifically refer to the miraculous creation of Adam. These exegetes include the famous 13th century scholar from Cordoba, al-Qurtubi, 32, the 9th century Persian historian and scholar, al-Tabari, 33, and the 12th century Iraqi physician and historian al-Baghdadi. 34. Significantly, other exegetes suggest these words also refer to the essential elements of the human body, which consist of various chemical components found in clay. Both meanings are intelligible, and therefore, either can be adopted. Scientific interpretation. By applying a scientific analysis to this verse, it becomes clear that this stage appertains to certain essential chemical components. It is significant that these chemical components are found in clay. They include oxygen, carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen, calcium, phosphorus, potassium, sulfur, chlorine, sodium, magnesium, and silicon, all of which are required for human functioning and development. 35. This is explained by the jurist and exegete Shafi Usmani in his 8-volume exegesis of the Qur'an. He writes, the word sula'ala means extract, and tin means wet earth or clay, and the verse means that man was created from some special elements extracted from earth. 36. This perspective highlights the Qur'an's alignment with modern science, as these elements are essential for human life. It also serves to convey the way the Qur'an uses perfectly accurate terms that convey the intended meaning using the briefest of speech. The human body is not made of clay? Contemporary critics state that the Qur'an is inaccurate concerning the development of the human being, as the human body is not made from clay. This argument stems from a misunderstanding of the Arabic language, as the key word allowing for the above interpretation is sula alas, lastract, something drawn out, etc. This clearly indicates that it is not clay from which the human is created, but an extract of clay, which alludes to the necessary chemical components required for human life. If this contention refers to the creation of Adam, then it can be addressed by referring to the Islamic theological understanding of miracles. The creation of Adam was not a natural event. Rather, it was a supernatural event that cannot be explained naturalistically. In summary, the creation of Adam from clay was a miracle. Summary box. The Sula Alatin Mintin stage, the essential elements required for human life and functioning, found in clay. 2. Drop of fluid. Then we placed him as a drop of fluid. The next stage of the development of the human embryo is nutfah. This word has various meanings. By looking at the Arabic language, it can mean a dribble, a trickle, a drop, or semen. 37. Nutfah can also mean a singular entity which is a part of a bigger group of its kind. This is suggested by the classical dictionary Lisan al-Arab, which explains nutfah as a single drop of water remaining in an emptied bucket. 38. According to prophetic tradition, which can be found in Sahih Muslim in the Book of Menstruation, the Prophet Muhammad explained the male and female reproductive substances. Mixed. 39. The Quran further clarifies that the nutfah is a single entity or a drop from a larger group of its kind by stating that the nutfah comes from semen, maniyin in Arabic, had. He not been a sperm, from a semen, emitted. 40. This perspective on the nutfah highlights how the intended use of this word is not to portray the meaning of semen, but rather that it is a substance from semen. This supports the view that it is a single substance from a larger group of its kind. The classical exegete Ibn Kathir comments on this verse and clarifies that the nutfah is a substance from semen. He states, meaning, was not man a weak drop of nutfah from a despised fluid known as semen. 41, explaining its view on the word nutfah, the Quran in another verse elucidates how the human being is made from an extract of a liquid disdained, then he made his posterity out of the extract, Allah, of a liquid disdained. 42, as previously discussed, the word sula Allah means an extract, something drawn out, or the most subtle, purest, and essential constituent. The above meanings and explications bring to light that the intended use of the word nutfah is a drop of a single extract, containing a specific substance like an egg or sperm, from the male semen and the female equivalent. Therefore, the word nutfah is not just another synonym for semen. The above view is supported by the Islamic scholarly tradition, which includes as Sayyid ibn Mansur, Ibn Abi Hatim, and others that maintain that there is something within the drop, sumful, that is responsible for fertilization and the genetic makeup of the embryo. 43.